Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining us at Deborah Kobylt Live. In studio with me right now is one of the top casting directors in Los Angeles, my friend Blake Boyd's casting agent, Valerie McCaffrey. Valerie, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Deborah.
You are an inspiring woman. I mean, we met, not too long ago, and we stayed in touch, and I've just been studying your body of work, which is pretty impressive. Currently, you directed the short film, Dirty Bomb, and that's making the festival circuit. We're going to get into everything that you've done, but could you tell us a little bit about Dirty Bomb, what it's about? It's a real passion for you, isn't it?
Yes, it was inspired by my uncle who served in the Battle of the Bulge, and it's a story that I came upon during conversation with my cousins about the GIs used to call the V2 bombs that didn't explode dirty bombs, and finding out, digging deeper, that these bombs were sabotaged by the Jewish prisoners that were in the Holocaust camps.
Wow. Boy, what people had to do to save other people, it's really incredible. So this is a short film, right? And the hope is to make this story into a long-form feature film.
Yes, that is the goal, because anyone that sees the movie, just really supported that. And so I began to write this script. Actually, around this time, it's taken me a year of research to write it. So now I'm at 127 pages, and now I get to go to all my friends to get the critiques, and hopefully we can develop this and raise money for it, which I'm pretty confident that we will.
It's fantastic. Can we go to a clip of Dirty Bomb? I think we have the trailer, right?
Yeah.
Let's take a look.
Gideon.
Schweine! Kann sich schon riechen, die Schweinehunde. Down! Keep your hands to the ground.
Learn your lesson, Jew. Your skills are needed. Never seen one of these V2s up close. Just didn't go off. Must have been someone looking out for us.
Wow. Outstanding. How do you go from casting, director to directing a film like this? I mean, how did you do that?
Well, I think
Very different skills, even though it's all within the realm of being an artist. But one is more of a business hat, and the other one is your creative hat, that you're out there directing a film like this.
Well, I think, just like in anything, repetition is always the key. To be able to see as many movies that I've had to see, being in the different positions I've had at different studios, and watching and learning from many of the great directors that I've had the chance to work with. I think, if you... and working with actors, I worked with actors, for many, many years. So performance is everything on a film. And I think that you set up your shots, and you're telling a story based on what you want to communicate. And, then it's finished in the editing room.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely outstanding.
Thank you.
Another film that you just completed, feature film, Running with the Devil, with Nicolas Cage and Lawrence Fishburne. What was your involvement with that?
I was the casting director on that film. I was just really intrigued by the story, where it shows our audience the beginning of cocaine, from the fields all the way to distribution, and the DEA person who goes after these bad guys. So it's all good. It's...
when you're casting a film, because I have so many friends who are actors, my assistant is an actor, I know. What do you look for? Like in a film like this, do you read the script and then you say, oh, I think this person would be perfect for it? How do you go about doing your job?
Well, I think, you have to give also credit to the agents and managers that pitch you ideas. And if it fits into your scope that you have in your head and it creates a world, because it is really, when you're casting, you're creating a world. And everyone has to belong to that world. And even the level of actors have to belong to each other. For instance, if you're casting someone like Al Pacino and the scenes are with another actor, you got to make sure that you're getting somebody that can handle Al Pacino, because you don't want to have uneven acting. So, it's creating that. But yes, it starts in my head.
Really?
Who's really right for it and who feels right.
Wow. How did you get into the business? I know that you were a top 10 finalist early on in your life for the Junior Miss in California. How do you go from that, from being to one of the top casting agents in the business, as well as a director? Like, what was your evolution?
Well, I think I had studied theater in school. That's how it starts. And I think all of the people in the industry have all started on the stage or in some aspect of it.
You were in Long Beach?
I was in Long Beach. I graduated from Cal State Long Beach, or the same school that Steven Spielberg got an honorary BA from. Yeah, there you go. But more importantly, I just immersed myself in the industry in itself. And I worked for David Gerber, who was a huge television producer, and I began to learn from every aspect of the business. But I didn't know that casting really existed. So my boss at the time, I was working in marketing, which, by the way, everything that you learn in life, you always can apply.
Can I just interrupt you for a minute? I have kids in school, and I always say, look, no matter what you want to be, please take a marketing course or two, because it really does help you. Even if you naturally have good marketing skills, there's always something you can learn and benefit from. So, to your point, yeah.
Yeah, and so what happened was he got a job offer at Universal Studios, and he ended up offering me the job. And I'd like marketing, but it wasn't didn't float my boat that much until, he started giving me more money and gave me a parking space. So
let me tell you, that parking space is everything on a studio lot. You know?
It sure is.
When I come into Sunset Gower and there's my parking space or not, you know when you've arrived, right?
So I had my parking space, and that sealed the deal. But then, unfortunately, he got let go after 9 months. Oops. And I went back into the assistant pool, and a job came open in casting. And when I heard about what a casting office does, I was like, why didn't I know about this before? Because they really don't teach you that in school. Yeah. And they don't teach you how to be a manager or an agent in school, because there's no real class in it. So
there's really not. I mean, there is now. They do have classes at the various universities on what it's like to be. But until you boots on the ground and you're working for somebody or at a studio or a small place, whatever, that's the only education you're really ever going to get. I agree. It's not really like being an accountant where you're going to school for something specific and you're going to apply that to what you learn. This really is very subjective.
Yeah. So, I actually started at Chuck Barris as a audience warmer. And little did I know, being a cheerleader in high school, I could utilize my skills there. So everything that I've done, I've actually, somehow it ended up getting me to the next level.
You start to realize that as life goes on, and you get to look back and you go, oh, now I know why that happened. Mm-hmm. It's very true. And just embrace it. That cheerleading gig, that audience warmer came because you were one heck of a cheerleader.
I was.
Right? That's really, really very funny. So what's a typical day like? Okay, you've also cast Ellen Page in Hard Candy, American History X, right?
Yep.
Ed Norton,
right. Mm-hmm.
And he got a Best Oscar nomination for that.
That's correct, yeah.
I mean, you've really done some pretty incredible...
Babe, the pig movie.
Yeah, and James Cromwell and Babe.
Who wanted to leave the business when I called him in to play opposite a pig. And
wait, because of that he wanted to leave the business?
It was like the last straw.
He's like, wait a minute, I'm getting called in to play opposite a pig. Like, really, I ought to just go work at Starbucks. Is that what happened?
It's close. He was like, I'm not going in. And the agent called me in the morning, and we had the director that had flown in from Australia. And I was like, kind of had a lot of power at Universal, so I could really manipulate that. And I told him, listen, you don't know, have you read the script? And she said, yes. And I said, well, he's the only human in it. So if this really goes well, he'll be a big star, which is exactly what happened.
Yeah.
It changed his life. I
they
got the
must
biggest
be-
bouquet of flowers from James Cromwell you have ever seen.
I was just going to say, he must be quite grateful to you
Yeah.
and that he didn't give up in the business.
Yeah.
So, you just never know. You just keep moving forward. It's very, very difficult.
And you never have an idea. The one thing fascinating about being an actor is that it just takes one role in one movie and it can change your whole life.
So give us some tips for people watching this and they go on an audition, because I always read about, oh my God, I was unprepared, I had a bad day, I got the role anyway. And then you hear about somebody who's always prepared and they're not getting it. Like, is it really subjective, or like, how do you land something?
Well, you have to have a little bit of luck, and you just have to be ready when the time comes.
Yeah.
I think, you could go in on 100 auditions and maybe, book like 10% of those auditions, and then you go in on the one series regular, and it changes your whole perspective. So I think that all of those auditions are actually work, and it leads up to a bigger job.
That's absolutely true. You've got to approach it that way. You're going in to nail this job. And if for some reason you didn't get it, you're right. You worked toward the next job. How has the entire business changed since when you started, when it was pretty much the big movie companies and the networks on television, and now you've got so much between Netflix and Amazon and now Apple TV, with all kinds of content out there?
I think, there was a certain separation between feature films and television. Mm-hmm. Television actors could not do feature films, and we would call them, they're TV actors. Nowadays, everyone crosses over the line.
Such great content. For the first time last night, I was watching, who's in it? Michael Douglas is in it, but I forgot the name of it. It's on, we streamed that. Oh, great.
really?
Alan Arkin and Michael Douglas. Anybody? Kaylee, help me find that. And I thought, gosh, these guys are such amazing actors, and they've crossed over to television, live stream television, in fact. So you're right. I mean, some of the best actors now, you can find them on TV.
Yeah, and some of them are limited series, so they're not stuck on that series
For
forever.
like 10 years.
Yes, and so now it's a lot of television, on cable shows come and go a lot faster than network shows. But, the difficult part is that these cable shows, many of them don't offer the kind of money network television does.
Hardly at all.
Yes.
I mean, I guess it's great if you're just starting and you can really get your foot in the door. And I guess it's also terrific if you've already made a name for yourself and you can really just get into a good meaty role, right?
Right, exactly. It gets you to the next level. However, there's a lot of actors that, that are working actors that still can't quite make a good living. And that's kind of sad.
Yeah.
What
when
you're being offered.
What are they paying a lot of the smaller venues that are
$368 a day, $368 a day. And you could be a series regular and something like that. It just depends. But it's,
versus $1 million an episode if you're on
Right.
a Modern Family or something.
Right.
And why? That's because the networks are behind you and they've got the advertising dollars. But isn't that going to start changing? Look, I got to tell you, just for myself, I've always been bored by a lot of network television because it seems so canned. And I'm so grateful that something a little meatier is available to me. But I do know, geez, how are they bringing in their money? I guess it's through subscription, right?
Through subscription, yeah.
Yeah.
And, one great thing is that we have a variety of stories that we can tell as artists. But on the other hand, you do want to make it fair for the actor that's not the Michael Douglas.
Of course.
The actors that are playing supporting roles that are being offered Scale Plus 10, which I really think that's, pretty terrible. That all the money is being spent to the main actor and none for the other actors.
What about distribution of men and women salary-wise? It's definitely the gap is closing in there, right?
Yes, I think it's slowly closing.
Yeah.
Slowly. When the foreign territories are giving you sales projections from men being much more sellable than women, then of course that's what they look at.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't really think about that, especially foreign distribution. They probably want to see something different than we're accustomed to seeing here.
That's right.
You're right about that. So you've got to think about the huge, big global picture, which is something I just thought of now that you brought it up.
And it's 2 to 3 years behind. So you could be in a series 3 years ago, and that would be more important than what's happening right now. So that's kind of, that's kind of strange.
So what about for people over 40, men and women? Is there more work for people now or less? Because it used to be an actress in particular. Your career was done by the time you hit 35 and 40. For the most part, am I right? But
yes, you're absolutely right. 35, I think, was old. So yeah, but I think SAG has a new division that they're working on. Their board is working on creating and giving incentives to companies that can actually have older actors in them from 40 on up.
Right. I was going to say, if you're 36 and you're looking for a job and God, that's unbelievable.
Yes.
So, right. So 40 on up?
Yes. So now it's really a push, and it has to come from the writers and the showrunners and the creators. It was so inspiring to see Clint Eastwood in Mule over the weekend that he's still working. And you just really, you see the years of experience and what he does as an actor and as a director. And you think, wow,
But women too. I mean, women are gorgeous and they're sexy and they're everything and they're smart and they're phenomenal actresses. I mean, honestly, people just keep themselves up better too. So,
sometimes. And sometimes they destroy their faces with too much Botox and fillers.
We talked about that, right? You said sometimes you can't even cast somebody because they're like this. I don't get that, because the first thing I will look at when I see them in a film, even some of the really well-known ones, I'm like, ooh, what do they do? Really, it's a little off-putting to me, I guess. Right?
Well, you can't, we were talking about, you can't really cast them in historical period pieces. So you can't really cast them in some of the roles out there because
there's no
they
expression.
They don't look their age.
And there's no
they
expression.
Don't look their age, and there's no expression, and they sometimes look a little weird.
Yeah, weird, definitely. Who are some of your favorite actor and actresses?
Okay, I love Anthony Hopkins.
Oh God,
I love Viggo Mortensen, who, by the way, if you haven't seen Green Book, being Italian, you should see Green Book.
I'm going before I leave. You're the fifth person who said, please go see that film. He's also one of my favorite actors. He's
so amazing in this movie. I really love, I love Kate Winslet. And, the older actors, I like Jimmy Stewart. And I think I was in love, that I was married to him in another lifetime.
Did you ever meet him?
Yes, I did.
I did too. I was in college at the college paper, and I got to interview him. He was quite elderly then, and I was so excited because, as a kid, my mother always had on It's a Wonderful Life, and I'm like, wow. So that was quite interesting.
Well, I love him because he's an everyday man, and he can be charming and sexy and still be, accessible. And I just loved his voice and just loved his everyday persona, but yet he was very attractive.
So before I let you go, tell a little takeaway for actors who want to really get cast in something. Is there a takeaway? I mean, do you have like a couple of must-dos that you must do if you're going out for something?
Well, I think it all comes down to anything, like even as an athlete, you must train.
Yeah.
And you must train every day, or not every day, every week you must train.
Keep up your classes.
Keep up your classes and do something for acting every day. Go to the gym, keep yourself looking, fit. Because the camera doesn't lie, and that's the basis of it. And how bad do you want this? How bad do you want to be an actor? Is this the only thing you want to do? Because if this is the only thing you want to do and the only thing you can do, then stick with it and don't ever give up.
And there's a lot of support in terms of, jobs that you can have and, just to support yourself while you're doing this. And,
Yeah, no, it's it's what if you're meant to be an actor and this is what you want to do, then just go for it and never give up, because like James Cromwell, who wanted to quit in his mid to late 50s, look what happened to him.
And also, look at you, a woman, very successful business. You run your own business. You've got people who work for you. How many on your staff?
A couple.
Yeah, that's great. Your daughter, you've trained her to work for you, which is pretty amazing.
Yes.
That's not easy in this business either, to be a successful woman who's a casting agent and someone who's also, worked in film and directed. So that's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
So hats off to you. You're
Thank
inspiring to a lot of women. And I just think the common message is you kind of can't give up. You're going to be beaten down. Just get up and,
You're only beaten up if you allow that to happen.
That's true. It's actually true. You just get up and dust yourself off and just keep going. So there's a lot more women now doing what you're doing and owning these businesses like you do, right?
Yeah, and it's great. In years ago, women were very competitive towards each other.
Yeah, I agree.
I
think they didn't know how to be a boss,
Yeah.
or how to run something. It was like, get out of my way. And now I think it's, wow, very all-inclusive. We all just want to be there to help each other, right?
Yeah, and that's the key. Now that things are opening up, we can do that, actually. I mean, I always trained, my assistants, and they go off and become VPs of Disney and in 20th Century Fox. And I find myself, I'm proud of that. I'm not going to withhold any information because I'm going to be competitive with them at all. I'm proud that they go off because that's a legacy of myself. So I look at it the other way.
Yeah, and you're going to get way more back in return for that kind of attitude. So I really appreciate you being here.
Oh, thank you.
I think you're incredible.
Yeah.
And let's talk one last time about Dirty Bomb, currently on the festival circuit.
Yes.
And you want to mention some of the other work that people can watch that you've been involved with?
Well, let's see now. Hard Candy, Ellen Page. I've done, I've been doing a lot of Hallmark movies, so
They're
check
fun.
them out during Christmas.
Yeah.
This will be a good time to, if you want to fall in love, go check
Go
out
to
Hallmark.
Hallmark. And it's very likely that Valerie McCaffrey was on that film as a casting agent. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Jen.
And I really appreciate Blake Boyd introducing us. He's one of your top clients.
My top clients. He's very handsome, charming man, as you can tell.
Wasn't he recently cast in something? He's always being cast in something.
Always. He's doing so well. So proud of him.
Yeah, and he crosses over. He does theater. He was JFK here.
JFK right there at the Odyssey.
He's a perfect JFK. The looks and his manners. Amazing actor. So hats off to you, Blake. And Merry Christmas.
Merry
Happy
Christmas
Hanukkah
to you.
and all. Are you going to be
And
here?
I'm a little Italian, by the way.
You are? Yeah, because you heard me talking that I'm going to find my relatives that I never knew over Christmas. Ever.
So amazing.
Didn't even know of them. And there are many, many of them. Zara's, because that's my maiden name. And De Benedictus, that was my mom's name. And there's a whole slew of them waiting for me. I'm a little nervous. Like, I hope I look okay.
No, you look great. And you're going to have the best pasta.
No, I'm going to have the best of everything. I'm going to be spoiled over there. So I can't wait to see all you guys. So Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
And
Thank
have a
you.
wonderful holiday. And we'll get together in the new year.
Sounds good.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to Deborah Kobylt Live. You can hear us on Apple Podcasts and iHeartRadio, and you can watch us, of course, on YouTube, Facebook, and then, of course, Instagram for all of our promos. See you later. Happy holidays. Take care.